Head over to thebestsongever.com and purchase our new hit, Together Again. It is a cover of Smokey Mike and the God King. That's Jeremy Boring and Michael Knowles. And with your help, we will smash our way onto the Billboard charts. We ended up with we ended up with a wide range of extremist beliefs that we saw manifest throughout the country, such as, what would they call it, non-POC and POC groups. They began actually creating, in Seattle, I think it was Seattle, there was a library where when people were allowed to come, if you were white, you had to go in a white room only. And if you were not white, you went to the not white room. In Dearborn, Michigan, you had the digital cafes. This was during, I believe it was during COVID. And they said, everybody come hang out online and talk in a chat room. But if you're white, you go in the room only for white people. And if you're not white, you go in the room only for not white people. For instance, an example of this, Derek Bell, pioneer of critical race theory, actually argued that Brown should not have dismantled Plessy versus Ferguson. A core component of critical race theory is that schools should remain segregated. So in, I believe it was Sacramento's school district, they created white racial affinity groups based on critical race theory. I think that should be allowed in schools. And if teachers are teaching critical race praxis to children, I believe it's illegal under the 1964 Civil Rights Act and should be barred from schools.
Yeah.
But what we end up with, once again, is you're banning books. Conservatives are banning books. They're trying to stop teaching our history.
It's realistic.
But some of the books that they're banning, Grapes of Wrath. Yes, Grapes of Wrath is one of the top 100 most banned books. Grapes of Wrath, The Portrait of Dorian Gray, because someone has a homosexual feeling. Or you were even talking about To Kill a Mockingbird. So I don't think we have to separate this. I mean, some things are just kind of outrageous, no matter what your politics are. But other things, I think American children should learn our history, and I think they should learn great books of literature, great works of art.
I think we all agree.
Okay, good. So we don't have to turn this into a war.
But I think the issue is if, say, Ron DeSantis comes out and he put this on floridagov.com, or I should say they did. Actually, I think, no, this is Ron DeSantis. The books they banned were Genderqueer, Flamer, This Book is Gay, and Let's Talk About It, books that contained pornographic and adult materials and instruction on those things. But
for junior high school?
This is middle school.
No, I wouldn't want that.
But so the issue then becomes the media widely reports he's just banning books in general. When you get, I mean, this is Ron DeSantis from his own mouth saying, these are the books we banned and why we banned them. But then all of a sudden the corporate press just says he's banning books in general. And the conversation shifts from we don't want children getting access to adult content to the perspective which you have is, oh, they're trying to ban books like Grapes of Wrath.
No, that's not the perspective. That's not what I just said. I agreed with you that there are books that I'm not comfortable with the governor doing it, but there are books with overt sexual or whatever at a certain young age that I just would be fine with the school board saying too young.
Yeah, this is like you were saying when you were younger, ideas of like racism were just shameful and that society wouldn't allow those things to get a mainstream megaphone. And now it's similar with books. We're in the age of self-publishing. People can publish ideas without a central authority, like saying, hey, that's a little
like a publisher, there's no gatekeeper.
Yeah. And so that we kind of have to be more vigilant in our censorship methods.
Well, I think that nothing is a substitute for an ethical revolution. We all have to just, that's why the work of just what is an ethical person, there is no substitute for that.
I have a problem with your talk of censorship, just because it's one thing to like we've talked about, what can go into libraries and stuff, and it's one thing to curate what goes into school libraries and stuff like that. Censorship is a totally different animal.
I think it's a form of censorship, curation.
Well,
I just want to general.
No, I don't. I mean, a library curates, an art director curates somebody curated what was on the wall here.
Oh yeah, mostly me.
Censor is mostly a neutral term. It's just you're looking at something and deeming, is this permissible or is it not in the current situation?
No, I think curation is neutral. Censorship is not neutral.
Well, you can censor something and allow it. So if you censor something, you're just deciding yes or no.
Censure versus censor.
I think when you censoring is just the act of observing and deciding yes or no.
Censoring is when you
it's specifically removing information. It can be good or bad.
But what about these great works of art? You were talking about the things you were talking about. many of us are upset about things like To Kill a Mockingbird, Grapes of Wrath.
But we all agree on that.
Okay, and I think we all agree on a lot of stuff, yeah.
But so this is more ambiguous. I'm curious your thoughts on this. It's kind of hard to read. I tried to find a higher resolution.
And for the record, I was right. You were wrong. Censure is official rebuke or an expression of strong disapproval.
Censure someone.
Yeah, but a censor, CENSOR, is just the act of deciding yes or no. You can say yes, that's okay, but you still censored it. Or you can say no, it's not okay, and you censored it.
I see what it's sort of the opposite of what,
And so sorry to interrupt. Society's taken this.
I understand what you're saying.
They become, society will try and tell you that it means saying no. It only means saying no, but it's just the act of deciding yes or no.
Is to censor.
Yes.
But by definition, if you say no, you are censuring.
You could argue that,
You said it's neutral, but I don't think it's neutral. There's a reason why it's censored.
I want to get this is a more ambiguous example from a book in a school. I'm curious your thoughts. Are you able to see it? I'm trying to find a good high resolution image of it, but this is from a book called Not My Idea, particularly a page from the book about contract binding you to whiteness. It says you get stolen land, stolen riches, special favors. Whiteness gets to mess endlessly with the lives of your friends, neighbors, and loved ones, and all fellow humans of color for the purpose of profit. Your soul, sign below. Land, riches, and favors may be revoked at any time for any reason. It depicts a hoofed-footed demon with fire on top of, with money on fire, a devil's tail, and a hand reaching for a handshake.
No, I think that's terrible.
So this is critical race praxis. When they take the ideology from Derek Bell or Kimberly Crenshaw and they put it in a children's book, and this is one of the books they want removed from schools. Whiteness is a bad deal. It always was. Dude, we can see your pointy tail. This is what's in great schools.
And this is the reason why, like, this is the stuff that as much as conservatives are trying to get stuff out, and there is going to be, or there are going to be attempts by more authoritarian conservatives to try and attach their limits on people's rights and stuff like that. That's going to happen. But at the same time, stuff like this, your average person doesn't even know. Like, they're not even aware. And then when it's presented to them by the media, which you understand exactly how duplicitous and difficult it can be with today's modern media, when it gets presented to the average person by the media, they do everything they can to make this seem like this isn't the situation. They make it seem like it's all racist and all bigots and blah, blah, blah. But then you actually look into it, and the situation is, no, there's really objectionable stuff being put in schools that parents are objecting to. And then the FBI goes after the parents for protesting. You know, this is the government that we have right now. This is the real federal government. FBI going after a parent because his kid was sexually assaulted.
This is state level. So in Virginia, Loudoun County, are you familiar with the Loudoun County conflict, which has been going on? So Loudoun County is about 30 seconds from here, Loudoun County, Virginia. And there was I believe she was a preteen girl, was raped in the bathroom by a boy wearing a dress. The conservatives tend to report it as a trans boy, but I don't think the boy was trans. I think the boy was like non-binary identifying or something, just wearing female clothes and using the girl's bathroom. The school covered it up. It led to a huge scandal, which was a huge component in why Northam didn't win re-election and why Youngkin did. The father got arrested when he went to the school board demanding to know why the school covered up the rape of his daughter. So these are the extreme stories that are popping up for the people who are, attuned to it. The corporate press, of course, is not talking about it. So, I think
they slander people that do.
Of course, I think much of what you experience, how they lie about you, it's so widespread. It's actually hard to break through. I did just bring up this site just to show you this. Not my idea. The passage I just showed you. This is a children's book where they say this about whiteness, and I do want to talk about this, and this is, I don't know. I figure I'd bring this story up to see what your thoughts are. There's a movie coming out called The American Society of Magical Negroes. It's got people very angry because in the trailer for the film, they say, actually, let me see if I can just play this, and I'll get your thoughts on it. Let's see if we have, I might have to unmute the site. No, we're good.
I know you can feel their discomfort, Aaron. Watching you walk through a room full of white people was the most painful thing I've ever seen.
Excuse me. Sorry.
I want to take you to a job interview. There's a recruiting class starting right now, and we got to get you in it.
Welcome to the American Society of Magical Negroes.
I don't really understand.
It's easier to say. What's the most dangerous animal on the planet?
Shark.
White people, when they feel uncomfortable. White people feeling uncomfortable precedes a lot of bad stuff for us. That's why we fight white discomfort every day.
I'll pause right there and say, show this, a meter showing white tears next to a police officer. So the premise of this film is that the most dangerous animal on the planet is white people, and a group of secret magical black people have to use magic powers to keep white people placated. Otherwise, the white people will turn on them and kill them. So this movie's got everybody pissed off. The Root wrote about it, and they're actually angry. Well, I shouldn't say they're angry, but there's a lot of criticism from more of the left-leaning people that it depicts an interracial relationship, which is surprising. I guess not really. And then the criticism from the right is that the premise of the film is that white people are the most dangerous animal on the planet. This is what people would refer to as critical race praxis in mainstream media and film. And this is a major movie. This is like, Hollywood level production.
One of the
The question that comes up for me is what you were saying before. Is it better that stuff be out there and that people hear it?
Personally, I think it's better, but at the same time, like stuff like this is hidden from the public, and until it's burst into an ugly form like this. And
that book,
which one?
Not my idea. That book with the devil, telling that kid, I
mean, it's all so toxic and so illiberal. And there are people and the media misrepresents all of the objections to it as coming from a place of bigotry, as coming from a place of evil and stuff. And
I can understand that.
I
can understand that.
This is why, when it comes to a show like ours, we have every conservative in the world emailing us asking us to come on, and not a single liberal emails us asking us to come on. We actively have to fight to get liberals to come on the show.
Wait a minute. Let's look at me. I'm very left-wing in my political views, but I agree with most of what
That's
you
why you're
guys
sitting
are
in this chair.
saying. I mean, this to me is we're talking about a lot of things here that I don't even see as left-right issues.
I agree.
But they've
been turned into left-right issues. But
and so the issue is when you have high-profile, prominent liberal or leftist commentators who know exactly what we're talking about, they will not come on this show because they would have to put themselves in a position where they're in opposition to their tribe.
Do you consider?
Yeah, well, my own tribe is not very nice to me.
But you see, that's exactly it. The people who are trying to remain within the circle of the dominant left ideology have to agree with critical race theory. And if they speak out against it, they will get canceled. They will get banned from media. They'll get lied about. They'll get smeared.
Well, that's why I said earlier, if we could just stay away from that term. The term is such a hot potato. It's not helpful. It's what we're talking about here. It doesn't help to even talk about it in terms of critical race theory. It seems to me.
But this is what critical race theory is. This is
but there are those who would argue differently.
But they're wrong.
Well,
this is critical race praxis.
This is practice. But more importantly, when we have the book, we have Kimberly Crenshaw's book, Critical Race Theory, the core ideology. And it explicitly talks about what the ideology means, what it represents, what their goals are. Derek Bell, of course, famously said he thought Plessy v. Ferguson was wrong and he wants segregation in schools. So when someone comes out and says, I would argue critical race theory is something different, they are lying. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.